by Gordon Campbell to reverse his personal political fortunes. And it would have cost the government hundreds of millions of dollars a year. The CBC's Alan Waterman has that story.
Effective January the 1st of 2011, there will be a 15% reduction in the tax rates on all of your income up to $72,000.
That was the Premier just 3 weeks ago. Now that tax cut is itself cut. The Premier's explanation today?
The tax cut has simply been suspended. The new leader can still make that decision, can still be made retroactive to January 1st, but that will be the choice that the new leader and the new cabinet makes.
But others read more into the backtrack. It was very clear that the Premier was making policy on the fly. This political science professor says that essentially prompted a cabinet coup. And the cabinet is now giving direction to the Premier, rather than the other way around. The cabinet sent a very clear message to the Premier yesterday. If you are going to stay on, you will not be making more major policy announcements. But anti-tax advocates feel the cabinet is out of step, not the Premier.
These people in Victoria have lost their way. This is why they were elected and re-elected and re-elected. They were a taxpayer-friendly government.
The opposition leader figures cabinet actually got it right.
I said the night that that tax cut was announced that it was irresponsible, that it was fiscally irresponsible to announce that tax cut without a budget, without any idea of where the dollars were going to come from.
Those dollars were, of course, a political gambit to take the bite out of the HST for individual taxpayers. Now, the bite is back.
After a 7-year legal saga, a Vancouver Island woman is going to jail for life for the murder of her husband. The judge hearing the case saying it was the most difficult she's ever dealt with during her 17 years on the bench. Kristen Robinson has more.
After 7 years of legal wrangling, 54-year-old Ruby Ann Ruffolo was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years, guilty of the first-degree murder of her husband, John Ruffolo.
No family should have to wait 7 years for justice for their son. It's been a nightmare and torture for us. And he's missed 7 birthdays while she walked free for 7 years on bail. And that's just not acceptable to us.
Since 2003, Ruffolo, who holds a law degree, has been represented by at least 6 lawyers. Up to 10 trial dates were set. An 8-month jury trial last year ended in a mistrial. A second judge-alone trial began last summer. 2 weeks ago, even the verdict was delayed when the defense came up with a mystery witness.
If you know the law, like this woman did, this system is so playable. It's disgusting.
Sometimes the system of justice doesn't work with the speed that other people wish it worked, but it does work.
In March 2004, Ruffolo was arrested and charged with murder.
You didn't do it?
No, I did not do it. 100% down the line, I would never do it.
She claimed innocence, but a BC Supreme Court justice found Ruffolo tried to hire a hitman to kill her husband. When that didn't work, she used an antidepressant to knock John Ruffolo out and injected him with a fatal dose of heroin before dumping his body in a ditch off Humpback Road in Langford.
You know, she's taken it upon herself to take a life. She planned it out. She went out and bought heroin. It was evil. It was an evil act.
But in our system, life, no parole for 25 years, that's a pretty heavy hit for anyone. And I thought it was fit and just. Does it equal the life of John Ruffolo? No.
Victoria police say they have now arrested a second man in connection with the murder of 52-year-old Leslie Ronald Henkel in early March. 19-year-old Samuel Gregory McGrath is now in custody. Previously, police had arrested another 19-year-old man. Henkel was fatally shot in his apartment in what police believe was a mistaken attempted drug theft. A Qualicum Beach man is facing several charges tonight after police showed up at his home this week. They were looking for evidence of child pornography, but found much more, as Dean Stoltz reports.
It happened here at this tiny row of apartments on Tuesday. Police arriving with a search warrant at the Village Way address, looking for evidence of child pornography in an upstairs unit, the home of 42-year-old Richard Parlby. Neighbors didn't want to appear on camera, but say they did see police here. Were the police here a couple of days ago? Yeah? You know why? No. The visit by plainclothes officers was based on information from the Integrated Child Exploitation Unit.
police officers in BC monitor IP addresses, and it's an ongoing process where they're constantly monitoring IP addresses and watching for things being downloaded.
Police seized one computer, several USB sticks, and several discs believed to contain pornographic images of young children. But that's not all they found in the upstairs apartment.
During the search, they came across the firearms which were in plain view and subsequently seized as a result of that same warrant.
The two guns include a prohibited military-style assault rifle, complete with a bipod for balance. There were also 7,000 rounds of ammunition.
You can only guess why someone out there would have a weapon like that.
Again, I can't guess why he had it. A weapon like this, it's good in our hands opposed to in the hands of somebody out on the street. They are prohibited, and they're prohibited for a reason. They are dangerous weapons.
42-year-old Richard Parlby has now been charged with possession of child pornography, possession of a prohibited firearm, and unsafe storage of a firearm. A conviction on the possession of a prohibited firearm charge alone carries a minimum 3-year prison sentence. We wanted to speak to Mr. Parlby about the charges, but no one answered our knock at the door. We've learned he's lived here on and off for 15 years. Neighbors say he's very kind, friendly, and a good father. But police have a different view of suspected child pornographers and say they'll do whatever it takes to make a difference.
We can make a difference by picking off one person at a time that's responsible for possessing this type of material.
Richard Parlby will make his second court appearance in Nanaimo December 15th.
500 people are expected for the memorial of a Nanaimo father killed in that Mexican resort explosion. The tragedy is deeply affecting those who knew him. His death has also left his new wife a widow and his daughter fatherless. The Now Sky Ryan reports the community is rallying to show its support for his family.
Talking to people who knew Malcolm Johnson, like the man who made his morning coffee.
It's amazing how close it was to all of us here.
It's clear that the young realtor left an impression on everyone he met.
Malcolm's death had a big impact on a lot of people.
At downtown Nanaimo's Coast Realty office, Johnson was considered an up-and-coming star. So letters of condolence and flowers are now a reflection of the mood.
Everybody he met, he touched in a different way. With his smile, with his wit, with his humor.
In the song. Nowhere will his absence be felt more deeply than by his 1-year-old daughter and his wife, well known as the two centrists of his universe.
I remember Malcolm telling me the story that he remembers Bobby sitting up for the first time and how she moved and struggled to get to that sitting position. And he said she could see her eyes light up. And yes, this is how it's done, and sit up. And you could see Malcolm bubble with excitement through that.
That life gone in a flash. As the Nanaimo man checked his email Sunday morning, an explosion rocked this Mexican resort he was staying in, killing the 33-year-old just days after he had tied the knot in a dream Mexican wedding.
I think, what's the odds? And then, it just happens like that.
What's making this tragedy all the worse is that there's confirmation today the young realtor had no life insurance. The couple was also renting their home. So 2 trust funds have now been set up in Malcolm Johnson's name here at Coastal Community Credit Union and the other at Island Savings to benefit his wife Heather and daughter Audrey in this extraordinary time of need.
They'll be in a tight spot, from what I understand, so this is all going to help.
The city of Nanaimo is donating the Port Theater free of charge to host Johnson's memorial on Monday, with room enough to fit an expected 500 mourners.
And I think this would be a fitting tribute for him.
To honor a young man who left an unmistakable impact on the people of this city in his short life.
Well, Hasten with us tonight for a look at sports. Bit of a show and tell thing in the NHL tonight. Steve Stamkos coming up with a hat trick in his race to win the goal-scoring record this year in the NHL.
Absolutely.
Pretty good show.
Running away with it already, just November here. But, he got 3 goals and 2 assists, 5 points. That was a crazy game. 8-7 was the final. That was like a football score. And I'll have full highlights from that one coming up a little bit later. But coming up in sports, we're also going to be talking about a local hockey team that not a lot of people know about. No, not my team. The UVic men's hockey team are one of the best university squads on the West Coast. They don't get scholarships like other teams. A lot of these guys pay their own way and just play for the love of the game. So we'll introduce you to some of those guys coming up a little bit later. We're also going to check in with the UVic Vice men's basketball team. The men are 4-4 to start the year and haven't really found their identity just yet. They have 2 big games this weekend against Regina, so we'll talk to the boys about that. And sticking with their basketball theme, we have a young lady who just can't stop hitting shots in an arcade game. It's unbelievable. I can't really explain it. You just kind of have to see it to believe it. So I'll have that coming up and a whole lot more in about 10 minutes time, Tony.
All right, Paul, we'll watch for that. Thanks very much. We'll have that and much more still to come on CHEK News.
I'm Ed Bain. Your full island forecast is coming up. But first, here's a look at some holiday hotspots.
Resort temperatures are brought to you by Big O Tires on Quadra for the best deals on winter wheels. CHEK News. Sports with Paul Hayson. Weekends at 5. Brought to you by Pennzoil 10-minute oil change.
One of Victoria's greatest assets is our beautiful harbor. At Queensbury, we watch the financial tides for you. No matter what the weather, there's an opportunity to be had. If it's time to get your money working for you again, call us. Queensbury, the way to your future.
It looks awful and takes years off the life of your roof. Improve the investment in your home with Thompson Roof Treatment.
Since 1937, our proprietary non-toxic system has demossed and preserved homes.
Thompson will take care of the moss and keep it off on our regular schedule, all for a fraction of the cost of a new roof. For your free estimate, call 250-385-3124.
You don't have to buy a new roof. Preserve the one you have.
Thompson Roof Treatment. Call to set up your appointment.
I don't care if I'm the official spokes candy for the new pretzel M&Ms. There is no way that you're putting a giant pretzel inside me.
Listen, buddy, I'm not too thrilled about this either.
M&M's pretzel. A crunchy pretzel inside an M&M's.
I heard that's really good. Oh, yeah.
It's fabulous. Russ?
It's free of charge. It's on us.
All day long.
What did he just say?
He said, inside.
Actually, it sounds absolutely amazing. Find out what everyone's talking about. Try McDonald's Premium Roast Coffee. Free. Any size, all day. November 15th to 28th.
A wonderful spot for recreational or full-time living. Penny Lane Riverside Cottages on historic Cowichan River. This former fly fishing resort now boasts newly constructed all-season cottages, ready for you. Penny Lane Cottages are spacious with many amenities. They start at $309, and that includes HST. Make that cozy cottage dream come true. Online at PennyLaneRiversideCottages.com or call 250-749-6000. Sundays on CHEK. North America's leading news magazine. 60 Minutes, Sunday at 7 on CHEK.
It might not officially be winter yet, and the calendar says it's a month or so away yet, but winter weather is sure hitting Vancouver Island. On some parts of the island, snow and snowball fights were the order of the day. And we're looking at chilling temperatures pretty much everywhere. Bruce Patrick takes a look.
Maps from Ontario get some early winter pictures on Vancouver Island, on the road to Lake Cowichan. Salt and sanding trucks are out on Highway 18, and heading west it snows more and more this mid-November. Lake Cowichan is white, which some folks say,
Well, I think it's great. And it's normal.
winter a little early this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the bus driver takes it all in his ride. It's not early for snow. This is Lake Cowichan. It could snow in October here. Already, people here in the Lake Cowichan area might be asking when's it going to stop. It could get worse as darkness comes and temperatures drop. And early snow is great if you're 6 or 7. The snow is beginning to pile up and the baby is born. It's the first snowfall of the season, and grades 2s and 3s in Lake Cowichan are collecting snowflakes on black sheets to be closely researched.
Yeah, snowflakes are cool.
We were supposed to be studying the desert today and reading books about it, but with the snow coming, how could we resist?
You love winter? While winter falls outside, these youngsters put their findings on paper, drawing snowflakes. They'll likely have plenty of supply to come in weeks ahead this early and long predicted winter. And Matt from Ontario, a plastic grocery bag helps keep his camera dry as he's still recording winter on Vancouver Island.
Well, that was today. Let's find out what's going to happen tomorrow as we